Heyo! Welcome to the Industry Idiots podcast. Turns out you're listening to last week's episode. You can listen to today's episode if you head over to our Patreon at patreon.com/industryidiots. For supporting, you'll get it a week early and access to one Patreon exclusive episode each month. Either way, thank you and enjoy this episode. Bye!
Hello, a new Industry Idiots episode with Sven, and next to me on the other side of Germany is Sam.
Hello, everyone. And Sven. Hi, Sven.
Do you have a new haircut?
I cut it myself. No one can see it, but I've given myself the Thomas Shelby Peaky Blinders haircut with my top hair still too short, but yeah, you know. Corona.
Caught me kind of off guard. Have you sent me a picture of that before? The reveal.
Corona
the
hair.
Start of the episode. Yeah.
A little surprise to start off. Today's going to be a chill episode. There hasn't been really happening a lot in the games industry. And, you know, we always pick up what's happening in the industry and base our design topics on that. So it's been quite quiet. But there's some things that definitely can be discussed. And I want to start with, Sven, have you seen, I don't think you have, but have you seen that there were hackers that hacked we're talking about Animal Crossing again. It's happening again. Neither of us play it, but we talk about it almost every episode. But there was some hacker who hacked there's this, wait, I'm gonna find it. Okay, Animal Crossing hacker gives out free Raymond villages. And there's this
what does that mean even?
There's a villager. Apparently, you can get new villagers into your village, right? Onto your island. Mm-hmm. It's random. And they released some new villagers. And this guy is, he's cool. He has this goth hipster look, and that's how they describe it on this website. So it's not me calling it a hipster. And apparently it's very rare, and it's the only one that can only be attained through that somehow. So he's worth millions. And now people are relentlessly grinding and buying and selling that villager for real life money, like thousands of euros or dollars.
Holy shit.
It's crazy, man.
So how do you obtain him? I didn't pick up on that.
It's complete random. You have this chance that there's a new villager coming when an old one leaves, and then he can be one of them.
Oh, okay. It's literally like slave trading and trading with human avatars in a game.
No, it's not human. Villagers are NPCs.
But not all of them are animals, right?
No, I mean, villagers are NPCs. None of them are controlled by players.
Yeah, but they're still like some kind of humanoid form.
No, they're all humanoid animals. They're all animals. Only the player's not an animal. Welcome to Animal Crossing.
Yeah, then it's totally okay trading humanoid animals.
Maybe that's why the game is named Animal Crossing, because your paths cross with the ones of animals. Who knows? The top comment of this article was that I feel like we've tipped the scales from Animal Crossing as a welcome distraction to people are playing this game wrong. And this is what I want to talk about today. Can you even play games wrong?
Nope. Easy answer.
That's your answer, but
yeah, okay. Let's hear yours first.
It breaks off this barrel of intended experience, right? And it depends on the perspective. From your perspective as a game designer, from my perspective as a game designer, there is a slight no there, yes there, somewhere in between. Mm-hmm. Because if you spend 5 years making a game for a very specific intended experience, of course, in your mind, that becomes like the right way to play a game. Mm-hmm. But on paper, of course, there's no. You have to fight that urge. You have to fight that thought. Even if you have built this for an intended purpose, if your player use it to, I don't know, hold virtual, like if you use VR chat and people are using it to play bowling or have Dungeons and Dragons evenings.
Or host talk shows, even.
Yeah, host talk shows, exactly. Then you should be embracing that as a game maker, right? Or if the people, Bethesda, right? If you use Skyrim to install Thomas the Tank Engine mods and you drive in circles and you simulate a children's TV show, then there you go. This is not in the spirit of the Skyrim adventure game, but you can do whatever you want.
But basically, I think getting a game or giving someone a game is like handing someone over some kind of toy. And of course, there's like an intended way to use, for example, a shovel in the sandbox. But of course, you can also use it as like if you want to do sword fighting with your best mates and you're 5 years old and you fight with a shovel against somebody else, then that tool or that toy is being used for something that's definitely not been designed for, but it's still fun and it's still usable in that way. So as long as I think using that toy in an enjoyable way, then of course it's totally okay.
You liked the tweet. I've tweeted about it. So guys, I read a book the other day, Play Matters by Miguel Sicard. Hopefully I didn't pronounce the name wrong. It's written Sicard. And it's a game design book, maybe a little bit, reaches a little bit level design, narrative design territory because he talks about game designers as architects. But it's a book that's called Play Matters. And I want to read a quote because this fits really well. It's, the game designer is a figure who understands how humans enjoy playing, mastering the necessary materials that lead to successful play. This designer is a romantic author, a creator who knows about what we access only through intuition and can materially create those experiences. And the art of game design is the art of creating play. So,
well, nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that, yeah, for sure. What does that mean? That means he says that a game designer is not there to design a specific game, but instead he's there to design an experience for someone looking to play. Right? He's creating playful experiences, playful interaction. And now, for us as game designers, to link this to the Animal Crossing problem, if a game can be played wrong, can a game designer, a human being, even anticipate all the ways that the player can experience the thing he's creating? And there is your easy no, right? This question is such an easy no. If you make a shovel, as you said, and you put the shovel in the store, you can never in 1,000 years, as the creator of this shovel, imagine what people will do with this shovel. And people will do fucked up shit with that shovel.
Yeah, and it only gets more complex the more locations and systems and tools get added to the overall package of what you can enjoy. But I understand it more in a way that you are the architect of the playground, basically. And you decide the location where the actions are happening, and you also decide what's in this playground. If there's like a how you call it, the like swing and something you can slide down and climb up, have parkour, then you are designing the experiences you can have. Of course, maybe some people or some children decide to add on that, maybe spinning a rope from one attraction to the other, and therefore creating something new. That's where mods come in. But overall, being the designer of the playground is I think what it's mostly about, at least for level and game design in a sense.
There's a connection, like when you're active in the industry, in the development scene, especially in the level design scene. There's a comparison that is always being made with game designers being theme park designers, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's very accurate if you look at most games.
And I mean, theme parks are using the same techniques that are being used in game design. Have you ever heard the term weenie?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
it's one of your favorite level design terms: weenie, leading or guiding lines, and
landmarks, of course.
Landmarks, exactly. That's what I wanted to say.
But there's the most obvious ones.
Sorry for interrupting. Please explain it to the. I know we're talking to each other, but please explain it for everyone else. What is a weenie?
A weenie is basically something that should get your attention and is positioned in the focal center of something. Just think of, like, if you're in Disneyland, think of the huge tower in the center, and this is there to give yourself like orientation of where you are within the overall theme park. And it's kind of similar to a landmark, but it does the same function basically.
So what's the difference?
Because it doesn't have to necessarily be something huge as the landmark. It can also be, similarly to breadcrumbing, something much more smaller, which should also capture your, how do you say it, attention. For example, at the end of a tunnel, maybe there's let's say you are in a mine and there's a minecart, and that minecart is highlighted in a specific way. Then that's something that should grab your attention, and I'd call that also a weenie. So
okay.
So, something that gives you orientation of the space you are in, not necessarily something you would have to need to head towards to.
So, like, yeah, if a game manages to like if you play a game and you don't have a compass, you don't have a minimap, and you still somehow intuitively are able to find your way through the game, that's when the level designer or game designer has used weenies well.
Yeah, I'd say so. Like open world games are sprawling with weenies, and every 50 meters there's a new weenie to keep you in the flow. So that's basically.
All right. Yeah. So I think we have answered the question with a resounding no. There is no way to play a game wrong. Maybe if you hurt people with playing a game, then yeah, maybe you're playing it wrong.
When you're toxic, then you can fuck right off.
Yeah, and maybe ethically you can play games wrong, or from your motivation.
Oh yeah, there was this one talk I heard last year, but I can't remember the name of the lecturer who gave it. I'm sorry about that, but it was basically there was a discussion going on in my university because the talk was about Minecraft, and there were the lecturer was showing videos about people who were basically ethically misusing contents of the game. For example, putting all the villagers in one room and blowing it up, or like very idealistic.
Well, that's just
things.
fun. That's just Sims.
Yeah, for some people it's fun. Some people think like those are all humans that are representative of humans. Why should they do that? And then you can of course overanalyze it a little bit and get too ethical in a sense, but where do you draw the line? So,
well, I draw the line when you hurt other people in real life. When you hurt them, for example, you are this I don't know, min-maxer in Animal Crossing, a game clearly designed for people to feel good about themselves, have a fun world to get their minds off things, and being encouraging positive mindset. And then you're a min-maxer who gets 5 bazillion bells and goes onto people's or hacker and goes onto people's islands to harass villagers or harass the player or harass people on Twitter for that they are not as far as they are. And the moment you start harassing and being toxic and being an asshole and hurting human beings, I think then you are playing the game wrong, because that's not what playing games is about.
Indeed. I completely agree. Yeah.
But otherwise, there's no wrong playing. There wasn't a lot more happening than that. There was one more thing this week, essentially, and there's a big headline. We've already talked about this via our private channels because it was so interesting that CD Projekt Red has now overtaken Ubisoft in value in Europe.
Oh yeah.
So they have one. Okay, they have a few games, but they have essentially one IP. Cyberpunk is coming and adding to that IP, but they have a Witcher IP, and Ubisoft has what, 27 IPs? Oh, this is crazy.
Yeah, a lot more than. It's crazy to see a company being valued that much for that one hit, basically. I mean, Witcher 2 wasn't bad by any means. It was a fantastic game still. But like this one monumental success being Witcher 3, which probably everyone who plays games owns and enjoyed. I haven't heard a single one hating on the game. And then the enormous expectations about Cyberpunk. And that's probably going to sell at least as well as Witcher 3. So.
Yeah, of course, in the future. But this is an estimation of the current value of right now, right? With Assassin's Creed Valhalla not having released, with the new Cyberpunk game not having released, just what the current inventory of the two companies is. To put it into numbers, Ubisoft is currently worth, at the time of this article, is currently worth 7.82 billion euros. And CDPR's market value is estimated to be 8 billion euros. So,
but what they're estimating as well is like the potential within that company and brand, like the market reach and market potential, and not only what they currently possess, right?
It's revenues and a market value and a net worth is always not only the physical assets or money they're holding. It's always their entire network, the entire IPs, everything valued in one number. But it's still insane.
But it's something what investors want to know about before they do an investment, and they make like projections based off of all that. So in that sense, it's super weird because CD Projekt only has this 2 big IPs and the potential to only, with how many employees do they have? 600, 700, maybe 800.
And they're not using scummy microtransactions or anything in that matter to make money.
True. And then you have Ubisoft on the other hand with like 20 studios and 20,000 employees across the globe, which on paper with that manpower and the franchises should be able to pull off much more and like create much higher revenue than that one company. So there's a kind of a disbalance in that.
But CDPR also kind of has a Rockstar, not the company, but the music maker, a Rockstar-like following, right? People love CDPR to death because they're very consumer oriented in their systems, like DRM free. You pay the price once and you can always install it on all the machines, right? There's DLCs that are sized like an entire game. Like you're essentially getting the Witcher game again for the price of a DLC. And there's no subscriptions, no hidden loot boxes, no nothing. And by continuously pushing that effort forward, even in their store, in their GOG, right? Even there, they are DRM free. All games you can buy there, you can copy and use on all your machines as much as you want.
That's pretty cool, yeah. Have you ever bought something on GOG? Because I find myself having too many launchers and my games too spread out, and except for Witcher, I don't have any other games on other platforms.
A couple of times, old games, I think. GOG at some point was known for remastering or at least making old games work again.
Or at least available again, yeah.
Yeah, and that was one of the first stores to do that, right? And they actively pushed that. This is one of their big pillars in the past. This was one of the. Sorry, I had 8 hours of German meetings today, so my mind is still in German mode. So my grammar is gonna be reversed. But yeah, this is what they have been building the store on, and now the store, of course, has developed in a completely different direction, but it's still very consumer oriented in its orientation. Maybe we should use GOG more. Because Steam, as much as I love Steam to death, a competitor can never hurt.
And that's true. But I feel like GOG mostly makes headlines for, like you said, revamping or republishing games that weren't available at other places. Like, for example, I think this last week even, or the week before, they made the beloved Blade Runner game from 1992 or 1993 or whatever, which has completely vanished for like 15 years or 10 years and hasn't been available to anyone except those who own the physical copy, and that still worked. But like for cases like that, it's super cool to have a publisher or have a platform that gives the spotlight to these old gems, for sure.
Yeah. And also, I mean, CDPR is not only developing Cyberpunk, right? They're also developing another new game that no one knows about yet. And they're in live development with the Gwent, and they're developing DLCs for Cyberpunk. So there's a lot of stuff in the works over there.
Pretty sure they're already gone kind of goldish on the Cyberpunk scope. They're only doing bug fixing right now. So the most of the team will probably be hard at work at the DLCs already, I'd say.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, their main team, the A team, is probably already working on. The main team is probably working on the new game, and most of the seasoned people and intra people are probably in the bug fixing and balancing for launch.
Well, that's an interesting question from a studio leadership perspective. Would you want your let's say you have an A team and a B team, and the A team is the more capable one, more proven one, more experienced one. Would you want the A team to establish the foundations or headline the new game? Or would you want the A team to rather finish what you are creating right now to make the best possible game in the now, basically?
Easy peasy first answer. Easy. I mean, yes, the A team should have second pass on everything that's happening with the let's just use Cyberpunk as a reference. Let's just say they would have an imaginary A team that has now moved away from Cyberpunk to develop the new game. If they do it like this, we don't know, right? They could go with a different approach, but if they go with A team B team approach, then I think the better option would be to, now that the game is established and everything is done, A team moves on to establish a new project. The still experienced and super high level quality other developers finish Cyberpunk and balancing and that kind of stuff, and then send the second pass over to the A team so they can have looks.
That can for sure be one approach, yeah.
I don't think you would. There's the other way is not possible. You can't use your inexperienced team to set the groundwork and create the new game already.
They'll probably split it up half. You have on both teams you have experienced ones, and in both teams you have less experienced ones. But of course, I'd say the leads in any department will probably stay the same over the course of the whole production. You can, of course, probably it's easier to replace one of the, let's say, gears in the whole machine than replacing the whole. Maybe that's too big of a comparison, but replacing the whole engine, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we only have one really well-known example of that happening, right? That is in my mind with BioWare.
Oh yeah, true.
If you wanna let everyone in on what just the general gist of it, and then we don't need to go into detail. Or it's never. By the way, it's never negative to say there's an A or a B team. It's not that the one team is worse than the other one. That's why it's the B team. It's just there's always a different experience level everywhere in every company, right? So someone who has worked in RPG games for 25 years of his life is an extreme workaholic. He's probably has his skills further developed than someone who just joined the company as a junior designer or something, and has never worked on an AAA RPG before. And of course, then you have to split up the teams.
But maybe in the newer ones, I'm a little bit more hungry than the old guard. So that's why you want to mix them up. So
yeah, of course. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that there's always different experience levels, but you need them all because they bring different things to the table.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, in BioWare, what happened there?
So what I know was from listening to the audiobook of Blood, Sweat and Pixels from Jason Schreier. Fantastic book.
Great book, yes.
I'm completely recommending to anyone who is interested in game development.
Posted it on Twitter.
Yeah. A little bit side advertising.
Yeah, Sven is always telling me about his posts on Twitter where he posted his favorite game design and industry books, and how he got so many likes.
And a little humble brag.
Yeah. No, it's fair. It's fine.
Yeah, we should do a special maybe about like our favorite game design books or essays or articles, and then maybe give a roundup and something like that would be interesting, I'd say.
Agreed.
Yeah. But basically, to get back to the BioWare situation, it was a kind of interesting overall concept, because BioWare was in the 2000s very known for this super polished AAA, critically acclaimed RPGs, and they had like a very, very nice reputation in that sense. And then they kind of grew pretty big, so they also like split up and had various teams. And then, as it is with game development, some projects go off. No, that's the wrong term. Go off a hook is not what I wanted to say, but like some projects and
off the rails.
Off the rails, that of course, yeah. But some projects and pitches are being developed even after like prototype stages, and some like rot in prototype hell. And for BioWare,
sorry to interrupt, but I don't think there's a prototype hell. There's a development hell, yes, for sure, where games lose funding and lose publishers and change studios and change leads and blah blah blah, and they never get finished, and then they run out of funding.
Mm-hmm.
But the prototyping is there to find out if a game should be continued developed or not. So you scrap prototypes all the time. A game cannot stay in prototype hell because the next prototype is a new game.
No, that's what I mean. The scrap prototypes land in prototype hell. That's the way I wanted to put it.
Let's say prototype purgatory.
Okay. Prototype purgatory. It's a fancy way of putting it.
Yeah.
But essentially, BioWare was like growing too big, a little bit too fast, probably also over the 10 years. And then they saw themselves making two big, huge open world games, Dragon Age and Mass Effect at the same time. And the Mass Effect team basically was the more established one within BioWare, and the Dragon Age one was like a small ragtag pirate team of not rogue developers, but like 30 people or something at first.
That's cool. I like this comparison a lot to A and B teams. This is way better than saying one is just flat out more experienced than the other. I like it.
Yeah, maybe they even have more freedom in what they do, but like generally Mass Effect was much more established at that stage, and Dragon Age was just also like I think in development for 7 years, the first one. So it kind of took years and years to finish the first Dragon Age, and then they wanted to do the second Dragon Age. It was done by separate teams, Mass Effect team, Dragon Age team, and they had to do the second one in like 1.5 years. And of course, it wasn't as critically acclaimed as the first Dragon Age. So, and also at the same time, I think Mass Effect 3 got published, which also wasn't as critically acclaimed or loved by the fans as the previous entries. And then for Dragon Age Inquisition, they had to kind of regain their reputation as a studio. And in that chapter I read, it's kind of interesting to see how the studio itself had to fare with switching from Mass Effect to Dragon Age to Mass Effect to Dragon Age, and then trying to like steer a ship with 2 teams and complete the Dragon Age Inquisition project with a new engine within 2 years, and Frostbite nonetheless. And Frostbite has also had like a crazy reputation within the game development community from what I've heard. On one side, it's like this super graphical juggernaut. On the other side, it's apparently a huge pain in the ass to work with. And yeah, that's the main obstacles.
Not only a graphical juggernaut, what is making Frostbite so special is extremely high fidelity while supplying amazing performance, right? Even on low tier systems, they can supply high fidelity games to terrible old systems, essentially. And that is what is amazing about Frostbite. And I'm sure it's a pain in the ass to work with, but it's worth it.
Yeah, and the main challenge for that Dragon Age team back at BioWare was adapting to that new engine, which is, of course, not an in-house engine for the BioWare Cosmos, but like an EA-owned engine, and was headlined by DICE in Sweden. And there were like difficulties because first, the overall engine was developed for first-person shooter games, so the player controllers, they never accounted for seeing your own avatar in the game and having colliders with that and physics of your own avatar and stuff like that. So all tools that were required for open world third-person games and inventory system and quests and stuff like that, all the tools for creating that in the Frostbite engine weren't there, and they had like 2 years to create all that while trying to fulfill on the promise of making the biggest RPG at the time. I think it was 2014 or something. And yeah, and it didn't help that Frostbite itself had only customer support or tech support in that sense coming from Sweden, coming from DICE, and they were in a different time zone. So the struggle, one team sitting in Canada or in Austin, Texas in the United States, and the other like tech support hotline being in Sweden. So you always had to wait at least like half a day or even a day until you get like feedback on how to do something properly or how to fix that bug. And also, yeah, that's like the main takeaways of the chapter. I don't want to take away too much because, of course, you should read that book yourself and get some insights from there. But yeah, it's super fascinating to read how like the interplay between already established studios are still like how they learn from each other, how they profit from each other, but also how they are super dependent sometimes from each other. So yeah, that's the story behind like the A and C team, and gravitated a little bit towards Frostbite.
which is okay. I mean, it's a big part of the book as well. So
true. Yeah.
So you guys are now also caught up to date, and we've answered the question of what we think is the better option how you should divide your employment force. Not that we have any experience in
hence the name Industry Idiots.
Yes. If you are leading a AAA industry like big development studio, just come here into the podcast, tell us how it really is. Or if you can't, then well, that's NDAs, I guess. There was a lot of other stuff, small stuff happening this week. Steam releases, right? There's Risk of Rain 2 now finally gets a final version coming out in August. We have the Sea of Thieves coming to Steam, which was a Microsoft exclusive for a very long time, Windows Store. But what is interesting right now is that the Xbox Game Pass is 5 times more popular than PlayStation Now.
Oh, and I can see why. Because they have have a lineup of newer games, I'd say. They always add games that are coming out now on PlayStation Now, apart from Control and Spider-Man, only has like games that are,
have you used PlayStation Now? Is it streaming? Is it streamed?
I have both, yeah.
It's streamed though, right?
The most of the games you can only stream, but some of them you can also download. So
right, that's why you get horrible input lag and you can't play action games. Because a service like that is less successful than a service where you actually install the game onto your hard drive.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to play a shooter game where you're super dependent on ping and netcode and stuff. So, You should try out. There are a bunch.
I know. There's a bunch of. I tried a few. I played Dishonored there, and I played the Outer Worlds there. So
yeah,
that kind of those games.
That's a good pick. That was actually one of the launch titles. Like it got released to Game Pass on its launch, like which is kind of rare, to be honest. Along with Gears 5 last year.
No Man's Sky is coming for the Game Pass.
Well, that's a game that's 4 years old already, but that's a pattern I actually see a lot in the coming or in the previous weeks. Is that games that like we're now in a time where the first exclusivity contracts kind of run out, and games become available on other platforms as well. It's the same with Control now becoming available, Borderlands 3 like 3 months ago. And like all the bigger titles that were like having a 1 year exclusive deal, same with Metro Exodus, they all now coming to all available platforms. And to be honest, that's the way it should be. Like every game available to any platform, so you can choose as a customer where you want to buy the game. We had the discussion before, so
there's nothing more to say about that. There's games coming for the Xbox Game Pass. Alan Wake, City Skylines, Minecraft Dungeons, right?
Oh, Alan Wake was cool.
All old games though. I mean, not Minecraft Dungeons. That's new. That's a new game.
And it's a Microsoft game, so of course it's on Game Pass.
The thing is with these subscription models, I don't know if we've talked about it on the show before, but I have very strong opinions and fears about it, even though I use them myself. Because I was one of those people who were very early adopted to streaming TV shows. Like I was when Netflix swapped from delivering DVDs to your home. That's, by the way, that's how Netflix originated. That's around then. That's when I entered Netflix, right, or entered the other streaming services. And Netflix was the first one, and it was amazing back then. But what happens when something gets amazing? That other people get in on it, and now we become this, and it's very bad in Germany because in Germany there's exclusive rights for everything. So in Germany now you have this situation where you need to get 5 or 6 services are 20 euros a month, so $20 a month, that have your TV show, so just so you can see everything. And what was great about the origin of these services was that, oh wow, there's Netflix, this new service that has all the things you want to see in one place, and you have to only have one subscription to watch it all. And no one was thinking about, but what if other companies do this and they get exclusive rights? And now the same shit is happening. So I'm getting so riled up about this.
Yeah, coming full circle.
And I constantly talk with other developers about this. Like when I'm on a convention or in the industry, or talking with my colleagues, no one sees this. I'm saying the Xbox Game Pass and these things, they are amazing, but they're inherently a bad thing, because the more things we get like this, there will be this point where developers say, and that is the tipping point, when a developer says, you know what? Because they always counter my argument with, don't be afraid of exclusivity, you can still buy the game. But what happens when you release games only for the passes? That you can't
buy them anymore.
You can't buy the game anymore. And then we enter a gaming zone where you suddenly have 5 to 10 different storefronts, Steam, Ubisoft, GOG probably won't do this because they're custom oriented, but all of these, and they all offer their own subscription, and then suddenly you have to get them all to play your games. And that's the fear I have. Maybe it's a little bit conspiracy tinfoil, but I'm also a realist.
Well, it's for sure a relevant fear. But from my opinion, I think the Game Pass will be the central tool for the next console generation for Microsoft to win the console war in that sense, making their launch titles, their exclusive titles, available from day one in a subscription model will convince so many people to invest into an Xbox compared to maybe only the subscription service offering games like a year later, because you can't every month put 60 euros in a new game. But instead, if you stay subscribed throughout the year, which Microsoft of course wants, because you're of course still doing purchases on top of that most of the time and not staying only with the 10 euros a month or 15 euros a month, whatever it is. So you are paying that subscription fee, but still investing more, akin to only maybe in September 60 and maybe 40 in May, if you can't afford as much. So that, I mean, it's easier to afford like that 10 euro thing than spending as much. That's my central point, especially for younger people. It was like this, the same psychological burden with microtransactions. You are much more inclined to invest on smaller bits of money than doing the big investments, and that's the way they can reach most of their gamers. Way lower fees.
I mean, yes, that's also due to FOMO. We've talked about this before, that people are afraid of missing content, and if they don't buy this now, then they won't get it ever. Mm-hmm. But I do agree with you that but it's not the number one. There's two things why Xbox is looking to win the console war right now, and it's because they also have cross-platform everything, right? Not cross-platform.
And they lost the last war.
Well, it doesn't matter. I don't care about this console war. I don't care about people pretending there is a war. I hate this, to be honest. I hate all of the console shit that they're all hyping up this drama. If I had the money right now, I would have an Xbox, I would have a Nintendo Switch, I would have a PlayStation, and I would have a PC.
Yeah, same.
And I wouldn't think about it for 1 second. I would just play the game when I want to lie in bed comfortably and play a third-person adventure game. I would do this on my console. Or hopefully, the next generation of consoles, I will be able to tolerate the frames, because they're always like pushing their 4K resolution. Give me 120 hertz and 120 FPS first, and then you can give me more resolution. I want to have a smooth gameplay experience before I, have a fucking 70-inch screen in front of my face and I can't count the pixels. I don't care about this. I want to play games. I don't want to look at a movie. Okay, but I derailed there for a second. Sorry, very ranty, very passionate about this topic.
Yes, that's okay.
What was I going on about? They will win the console war. I'm doing air quotes by having their games all also available on PC. Right? PC is a huge market, and I am, as a PC gamer, next to being a developer, I am more inclined to buy myself an Xbox, because I know I already have the Xbox Game Pass. I can already play all the games that I can play also on my Xbox, and there's no exclusives.
If you had one.
There's no exclusives anymore in between Xbox and PC.
True.
All new games for Xbox also come out the same day for PC.
Yeah, that's a big sales pitch. And of course, that new shiny feature they are promising with the smart delivery, that if you buy a game for like Xbox One now, you also get it for, how's it called, Xbox Series X, and vice versa. So I'm not even vice versa.
Totally not in the know about any things that happen in the console world. So I thank you for telling me there's another thing coming. Yeah, well, winning the console war is about one thing, and that is about also getting into the PC market. You can always get a few PlayStation people to change to Xbox, and PlayStation can always get a few Xbox people to change over to PlayStation. Can always happen. Maybe get a few more new people in with getting young people in, whatever. The tipping point will be once one of them is able to tap that third large, huge audience, target group, and that's PC gamers. And Xbox is currently on a good path to do that.
PS Now as well. Did you know they also have Windows streaming of some of their games? Okay. Yeah, true.
Yeah, but they only have streaming. No one wants this. Most people, 70% of all gamers have terrible internet connections. If you're in a third world country, you have terrible internet most of the time.
Oh, that's a fair point.
Even in the States, they have terrible internet most of the time.
Yeah, if you live in some rural areas, for sure.
Not only in the rural, have you seen the prices of internet in the States? It's like 5 times the prices of our internet for the same connection.
Oh, wow. I'm out of the loop on that one.
Super expensive. I mean, just for a reference, guys, if you're listening and you're from the States, if you would have sent us or tweet us your current internet price, that would be very interesting for us to hear. But as far as I know, my current internet price for 200 megabytes download, so a 200 Mbit connection, is $25, $20. And as far as I know, having 1/3 of that costs triple the price in the States.
Yeah, I can imagine. But they most of the time they also tie that to like their TV subscription and like energy providers and stuff. At least from what I heard.
That's a good question. Unfortunately, I'm not experienced or known enough about this topic to give comment. So I will just let our listeners maybe give us some input on that. Twitter or Discord, send us a DM, send us a hashtag industry idiots, and we will see. Very cool. Sorry for getting so heated up. I really hate that this exclusive, this elite, this gatekeeping mindset. I hate it. I hate it in everything. I just want people to hype other people, to enable cool things. I listened to a Game Maker's Tool notebook the other day, the one with Cory Barlog, and he says at some point that he's sick of people, just putting people down for what they're doing. If you're achieving something great, just enjoy it. Just give it a chance. Just because you hate some character, some IP, you hate someone at the studio, just give the game a chance and maybe be a little bit more positive in your life. It's worth it to hype each other up and enjoy this life that we are giving. We only have this one.
I agree. Yeah. You should tell that to all the spoiler people on the internet. Yeah. Talking about Last of Us 2. But let's dodge that topic.
Let's dodge that topic.
Yeah. Let's talk about other upcoming games of 2020, because we already talked Cyberpunk. We already talked Last of Us 2. Those are like the big behemoths coming up. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we wanted to do this for a while. Or little ones. We wanted to do this for a while, to be honest. We thought about making this a special for Patreon, but we might as well do it now. Why not? Let's look into it. I mean, this has been a quiet week. Maybe it's a little quizzy if you have even heard about any of those games that are coming up in 2020.
An obvious one is, of course, like Ghosts of Tsushima, which is also releasing very close. And then you have games like, let me think, the Marvel game, the Avengers game from Crystal Dynamics was pretty prominent last year at the Gamescom. And then Amazon is also dripping their feet in the games market with that MMO and that.
That's interesting.
I don't want to hate on any game, but the way they are marketing a certain free-to-play game is very off-putting. Crucible, it's called.
How are they marketing it?
Well, it feels to me, maybe the what they're doing in the marketing is just putting me off. The game can be fantastic. I haven't seen any reviews, but what they are showing from the game feels like that is the most like try-hard focus group tested experience you could put up right now. It's like if you put Borderlands, Fortnite, Call of Duty, and everything that's like the big buzzwords, looter shooter, time to kill, blah, 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 put that into a bucket and make that a game. It had nothing very unique to it. It had everything you had seen before. From to
gameplay trailer, or have you played it, or are we talking reviews?
Gameplay trailer, like from the character designs, from the world designs, this is all something you have seen before, and it felt very overly engineered to pander to a certain audience, like this core gamer audience, and that's what kind of put me off, because it's the same with that one game Bleeding Edge from Ninja Theory.
Oh yeah.
Try to do the same with this everyone had cool, fancy, crazy hairstyles and everything was so over the top. Like everything was on HD, HS. How do you call it? It's the same thing I suffer from time to time. But if you amp up that and put shooter games or multiplayer games on cocaine, that's what you get out of it. And it seems like corporations think that is what consumers want at the moment to compete with Fortnite or other games.
The problem is half the time they do. Like we're not the target group. Yeah. But the thing is, Fortnite is one of the most popular. Is this correct English? One of the most popular games of all time. Has made the most money one of the highest grossing games of all time. And so it's working, right? But then again, there's games like Bleeding Edge where it clearly didn't work.
It's the same with, let's say, games I also enjoyed. Apex Legends also has this quirky character design, which is like this over-the-top quirkiness. There's all the realism, groundedness in something, and character designs, I guess, getting completely lost. Same with Valorant. Character designs are also very stylized, very...
Yeah, honestly, I think Apex Legends character designs are more grounded than Valorant. Valorant, I don't want to talk bad about any games. Never want to, because as I just said, I'm one to hype up games. But I think some of the characters in Valorant are very, very, very focused on a specific, to hook in a specific target group. Like we have Phoenix, right? The guy who can flash and do a lot with fire. He is like, he constantly does things like or like all these hip streamer lines.
The youth buzzwords.
Buzzwords, streamer buzzwords, all that stuff. And is that character just based on reality, or, is that character made to be,
Of course, a lot of things like what they're, of course, trying to do is trying to create characters that like represent certain parts of the population. That's totally okay.
And are relatable.
That's totally fine. But if they create characters that are so over the top that they become unlikable, then I kind of see a problem there. So,
and all the characters are so cocky. I mean,
yeah, the cockiness is very next level on all of those characters.
I have nothing against this, and I mean, they're Valorant, right? They're that insane group. But as far as I know, most highly achieving sports people or whatever, like if the famous swimmer. What is his name? Who wins everything?
Michael Phelps.
Yeah, he's the most down-to-earth guy. Like super supportive of everyone else in the industry, but that's how I should. Like, they should be role models. They're the highest achieving players in this world. They should be role models for children and aspiring people outside of this world who will maybe eventually become successful, right? And we already have a problem that many streamers, their personalities are very cocky and off-putting. Sometimes childish or racist. It's a big problem on Twitch, right? And I feel like game developers should work hard to supply believable role models inside their character design.
Yeah. So some Valorant characters, of course, have the one-liners that are totally fine, and like they're saying, "Yeah, here I'm going to heal you, or I'm going to support you with something." That's fine, but once a one-liner becomes so cocky and so edgy in a sense, then you're going over the hook at or going over the rail somewhere. So
the game is great. I mean, I enjoy playing the game a lot. I wish the characters were a little bit more toned down, or a better role model from time to time. But it's still a game, so you can do whatever.
Yeah, true. And not all games should be the same realistic thing.
Of course.
Yeah.
So we're just a little bit of ranting. Valoranting. Okay, I'm gonna see myself out for that one. That can go right in the game. Oh damn. Okay, yeah. So what's coming up? I wonder. You mentioned Ghost of Tsushima, yes, but Tsushima I can't promise. It's too late. It has been a very long day. Monster Hunter World, that's already out. Let's move on to that's January.
Another expansion probably. To Monster Hunter. Have you played Monster Hunter?
It's almost June. No, I have not had a chance. I hear it's a great game. I want to play it really bad.
Well, we talked about like some upcoming games before. For example, Iron Man VR. I'm a VR believer now, because in the meantime, from when we talked like 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago about Alex, when Sam was the only one who has played it, I have played it now too. With my brother's Index, and I'm also as hyped. I completely sign off on VR experiences.
You ordered an Index.
Yeah, of course.
Oh man.
Yeah. So I guess Iron Man VR is something I'm gonna check out just for.
I don't like the IP, just personally. Just I don't like Iron Man. It's just not. I'm not actively not liking it.
That's okay. It's the same if you don't like Batman. But
I like Batman. I'm not actively disliking Iron Man. I don't care about the character. It never clicked for me.
But I can feel that, like, controlling this immersive suit and flying through the air and fulfilling upon it, all that can be a big locomotion nightmare for me. Because at some parts, if I was moving way too fast, and then I got a little bit of disorientation feeling, but not too much.
Mm-hmm.
But imagine flying around without being grounded on the floor and having something to orient yourself with. That can be intense.
They have developed this game for quite some time. I'm sure they've solved these problems.
Yeah, I hope so. Same with other flying games. Microsoft Flight Simulator is also coming.
Oh, that's cool. That uses some cool tech. They're using Google Earth data so you could fly around the entire world, like photo scanning and everything.
In a much more detailed way than flying in Google Earth around the world.
Yes. I mean, It's already breathtaking if you've tried VR with a headset that has nice resolution and you've been inside Google Earth VR. That's already crazy. That's an experience that you'll probably not forget. But then having a game that does that, and even the Iron Man game. I think what's good about the Iron Man game is they push boundaries and they innovate in a big manner. And I don't know if it's AAA, but they innovate in a big manner on mechanics. Because the one big there's two big problems. The one of the two big problems VR has is, right, locomotion. So how can I move in the game world without breaking immersion that I can only move in my room in the real world? And the second problem is that your headset, your hand, your controllers, whatever, they don't stop when they should be stopping, right? If you hit it with a sword, if you hit a wall, and that in reality your hand would stop, right? Because the sword hits the wall and the sword stops.
Yeah.
But in VR, of course, it's not that way. The sword in the world stops, but your hand continues to go.
It starts to vibrate a little.
Yeah, it gives you haptic feedback, but it still breaks immersion. So the goal for VR is always, how can I minimize immersion breaking? And what they are doing with these new movement systems, new locomotion systems, I mean, that can only help. If it is a success and they find some very cool new mechanic to move things, very likely like the glove from Alex with the pulling things towards you. This is a thing that we will see in like probably almost all VR games from now on. And the same thing is if they find an awesome way to fly and locomote in the air, on the ground, then this is also a thing that will be picked up in the future of VR. And let's move time ahead 5 years. We have gone through multiple of these games that find an amazing, innovative way to move or do something special in VR. And then suddenly we can have AAA VR games that use all of these mechanics to supply you the perfect experience.
Similarly to what Alex did for the previous 5 years, leading up to now, the now timeline. Yeah, for sure.
Oh man!
Well, other games this year are probably from all the big franchises. There will probably be another Call of Duty. There will be the next Halo, of course.
This year? No.
This year, yeah, of course.
Oh yeah, okay, but not an Infinity War and a Treyarch.
Not one from
Treyarch.
The Black Ops series. It's rumored it's to be like similarly to what Modern Warfare did, like remastering it.
I don't like them. They're too crazy for me. They're too over the top. There's too much crazy shit.
Yeah, they're going back to the old ways. They're going back to the Cold War. That's what the rumor says. So similarly to the first Black Ops.
But that's not what I mean. I mean, okay, it's also pretty funny, to be honest. Like, what you have to know is that Call of Duty is being developed by 2 studios. So
sometimes 3.
Sometimes 3, yes.
Feels like it.
Exactly. So they always alternate release cycles. And their games of this studio are known for they try crazy shit, right? Setting wise, they go future, they go Cold War, they go all that stuff. But they add funny shit into the game, like a melee weapon that's a one of those squeaky goose toys, or I think there was I don't know, there was so many weird arcade things put in there, or suits like the Fortnite skins. Something like this was already in old Call of Duty games.
Yeah, there we have the over-the-topness again.
I don't know. It's just something I might not be able to vibe with. Even though I'm not into a military sim at all. I'm not one of those guys, which is not bad. You can be into military sim, but I'm not one of them. That's what I'm saying. So, but I still enjoy, like, if you build a coherent experience, you build a setting, I kind of want you to take your own setting serious. Not too hard, not too much. Still be lighthearted about it, but, be respectful towards the old setting you're building.
Yeah, to be consistent in what you try to be and not try to be everything and pander to everyone.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, sometimes you just gotta accept. That's a huge thing that I learned while leading a team over the last year, and that is sometimes you just gotta accept that either things are not for people or that something is bad. That's a big thing that I've learned, that sometimes in a lead position you have to accept, like, you always want your ideas and your vision and the vision you're, I don't know, getting from higher above or somewhere and in a different position, you want that to be realized perfectly, but sometimes you just got to accept that something just doesn't work. Yes, try it out, make it happen, see if it works, but then don't force the feature if it's bad into the game. And that's the thing that we all have to learn, that sometimes things just, they need to be scrapped.
Yeah, and sometimes great ideas or great concepts also lie outside of the vision cone, the classic vision cone, because you can't have a 360 vision cone. No matter how great of a creative director or project lead you are, there are of course gonna be ideas coming from outside of your own cone.
And that's why just imagine you would be one of the greatest creative directors to ever lived, and you would build a team made entirely of clones of you. The game would probably be terrible, because what makes games great and big things great is because many people with different ideas, different mindsets, they clash together and they find this special thing.
The best solution.
Yeah. You need other things to complement you. That there's this huge theory about personalities in the business world, right? Where you try to, if you're a recruiter, you try to match different personality types with each other. So they might help
so that they both accelerate each other to new heights and stuff.
Yeah, there's like 8 or 10 or even more. But to simplify, it's like putting someone who's more introverted together with someone who's extroverted. That's a perfect team, right? To accomplish things. The one might be more quiet and focused on working and blah, blah, blah. And the other one might be able to get things through and make things happen, right? By being blunt about it and brute forcey. And this is a very simplified, and I don't want to, standardize people into cupboards. You say that in German, in Schubladendenken. You don't want to compartmentalize people. But what I'm saying is that there's different personality types out there, different human beings, and you need them all to come together in a harmonic way, because together they will build this harmony. They can't do it alone.
Yeah, just from a stereotypical mental model, if you put 2 introverts into a room, the chances are, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but the chances are that those are less inclined to talk to each other are much higher. Similarly to if you put 2 super dominant extroverts into a room, they're probably going to fight to death over their ideas and getting their will and stuff like that. So if you have a mix of both, you get the best of both worlds.
But that also doesn't excuse if someone is a certain personality type. Everyone can work on their own person, right? Extroverts need to learn to be introverted.
Yeah.
In the business world, it's something different. You can't just be yourself sometimes. Sometimes you have to grow as a person. You can be yourself, but you need to grow. You can't.
You can stay introverted, but you need to be professional about it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not talking introverted. I'm talking if you're, I don't know, maybe you find yourself in a bad situation in life right now, and then you need to grow as a person and become happy with yourself and with your skill set, and you also have to be very passionate, and you want to achieve something. You're not gonna get into an industry that you love that is highly competitive just by existing. It's not gonna knock on your door. You have
to fight for what you want and your ideas.
Exactly. But as I said, if you're in a lead position, then sometimes you have to let thoughts go, and you have to be open-minded, to be convinced that other things might sometimes be better than what you're thinking.
Yeah, true. But to just pick up on that introvert thing, I'm in no way saying that it's good or bad to be one way or the other, because I'm classifying myself as more of an introvert than an extrovert 100%. But I can still...
I completely disagree with the entire introvert-extrovert thing, but please go ahead and I will chip in after.
Disagree with what?
With the entire thing of classifying people as introvert or extroverts. Everyone is both.
Yeah, it depends on like your personal day form and mood, of course, and your social circle and how people push you and how you push yourself and your motivations. It depends all on one day. I can also be extroverted but I'm more inclined to be introverted on most days in that sense. And what I just wanted to say is that it's not bad to be either of it. So both have their advantages, both have their disadvantages. You just gotta be yourself while staying professional and pushing for your ideas.
Find your own ways to keep your energy up, that kind of stuff. If it's draining, I'm not. People are mentally drained by different things, right? Some people are drained by being in meetings. Some people are exhilarated by being in meetings, and they come out of a meeting. Yep. For example, I'm a person, I love meetings to death. Like this meme that everyone is always on about that. This email this meeting could have been an email. Like I'm the complete opposite camp. I love meetings. I think meetings are the best thing in the world and breed the best ideas because I love Kitzeling in German. I love making people have ideas, right? If they're shy to have ideas, too shy to speak their mind. I love like orchestrating all of that. But I know that some people out there hate meetings. Some people go out of a meeting, they're like, oh, I can't do it. I can't go on anymore. I need a 30-minute lunch now. That's also okay. That's okay. But what I'm saying is that you need to find which type or how your own mind and body works, and you need to work with it, right? You can't just sleep on who you are. You have to improve yourself to become a better version of yourself every day. And I to the thing that I said with disagreeing with you on introvert and extroverted, I think every single human being on this planet is both. Think of if you're introverted out there, which is fine, which I feel like most of the time as well. Think of how you are with your friends. When you are with your friends, the few friends that you love the most, then you're not introverted with them. You're super extrovert. You probably quatsch around. You do crazy shit. You play games. You yell at each other. You have fun. You do jokes. You're not introverted with them. Yeah, and the same goes for extroverts. They have breaks. They chill. They are drained after speaking to someone for an hour and just want quiet for 8 hours. In my eyes, it's a scale. This entire thing is a slider, and every human slides back and forth on that slider, depending on time of day and what he's going through.
Depending on the situational context, yeah. But I'm kind of similar, like you in that sense. I love personal contact with people in the work environment and going over to their place and talking to them, and also like group calls and stuff. Also like writing to them. But when it comes to like, for example, phone calls where I don't like have accounted for, don't know who's calling me, I absolutely hate that, because then I'm in an environment where I haven't prepared for. So you have to like improvise a lot more than let's say when you engage in the conversation. Of course, you can always handle that, but it makes it a little bit harder to like not be let's say overwhelmed with something you haven't accounted for, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it does. I think it does make sense. Unfortunately, already at the end of our episode, even though we've tried for like 25 minutes, we've tried to go through the list of upcoming games, and we haven't gone through one. Like I have this list tab open for like 25 minutes now. So
that's a sneaky way to make some promo for the special, of course.
Yeah, this will be saved for another episode. Either another episode where the content is just a drought, right? When there's no crazy upsets happening in the games industry or news, or we make it a special. That could happen as well. Either way, thank you very much for listening. Thank you for making us part of your weekly routine. And also, we've just announced it on Twitter. Thank you for 700 listeners. That's really amazing.
700. Holy shit.
It was 555 the last when we announced. And since then, it has there were quite a few on YouTube and Spotify coming in. So we are around 650 to 700. I didn't check the exact numbers, but thank you.
That's insane, man. Never expected that.
Thank you to all the people listening to us, because when we started this out, Sven and me we're like, yep, this is fun. We like doing this in our free time. We didn't expect anyone to listen. Maybe my mom would turn on the stream from time to time. It's like, okay, cool, yeah. That's my son and his best friend. Cool.
Yeah,
bye.
Was just your catfish routine to scam your mom into becoming a Patreon supporter, right?
Exactly. And thank you for listening to us talk about design, talk about games, and be here, hang out with us. You know, it really, really does mean a lot to the both of us.
Yep. And if you want to follow us on our social channels or anywhere else, you're probably gonna find a direct link in the episode description where you can tap on and then get linked to it.
There you go. Yeah, all the socials are mentioned, and as always, bye.
Bye.